Okay, hola everybody, bienvenidos.
Hola, bienvenido.
We are back again in the Green Dragon. The chat's live, that's good. Yeah, and we got a lot to talk about tonight.
We have
So
to get through.
yeah, so we'll do the usuals. What are you got some?
So I've gone for a nice blend of Burleys. So that's Burley Flake 1, a little pinch of Semois, and a bit of Maduro. You'll notice that this is a pipe that I am now breaking. This is the Savinelli Clarks. I have long been an admirer of Harry's Savinelli collection. And I finally plugged for one, so I'm just going straight in with the adapter on this.
Yeah.
No filter, and I'm loving it.
To be honest, I find generally the adapter with the Savinelli is the best experience.
The draw's better.
Yeah, for a long time I smoked mine without adapters, and then at a certain point I was like, I think the drawer is just too open.
Yeah.
You need to bring that down. And that's what the adapter's for.
Right.
And
Yeah,
for me,
right.
it's the best move. I've got the Falcon tonight. I've got the it's the extra stem, so the brown straight stem with the Hunter.
Straight chimney.
Yeah, I think they call this Dublin.
Yeah.
It's not the Billiard, it's the Dublin.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's got a nice slender chimney.
Nicely coloured up that as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's really darkened up.
That's what I love about the Falcon bowls over time. They take on a lovely character.
Those Hunter ones that they come in with like a naked kind of natural kind of finish.
Yeah.
They you watch them darken up over like a few smokes. It's really nice. So yeah, and I've got Old Faithful in here, my favourite, half Burley Flake #1 and half Pennsylvania Maduro.
Lovely.
Always.
Just a magic blend. So a lot to get through tonight. We had quite the away day trip last night, did we not?
We did.
So we've gone from one Green Dragon to another Green Dragon.
Yeah.
So we had a little jaunt down to the Green Dragon pub in Dronfield.
Yeah.
To go and support one of the cigar tasting nights that some friends of ours who we've mentioned quite a lot on this channel, Mitchell's in Sheffield, they put on regular cigar tasting evenings. Last night's was Plasencia.
Yeah, it was Plasencia, Year of the Snake. I was in the shop last week or week before last, and I was just buying a couple of sticks, and I saw on the counter a list of tasting evenings. And by the way, they do wine and whiskey and rum and gin, so if you're into that...
Good stuff.
Yeah, all that good stuff. But also cigars, and I saw an upcoming one, Plasencia, Year of the Snake. Now, I didn't know much about that stick specifically, but what I do know is that Plasencia are excellent, make excellent cigars. Yeah. Never had a bad Plasencia. And so I thought, I'll see if Dion's up for that, see if he's free. Let's do it. I asked you, you were down, we booked it. And like we were saying, we've seen a lot of these upcoming. Like ones that we would have enjoyed. Like I think there was a foundation one that we missed, and there was a couple of this and that. But I said, let's do it, and we finally went, and it was great. It was such a good evening.
Beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Good turnout.
Yeah.
Lots of guys there.
Very nice spot too.
And very amenable. Everybody that was there was out for a good time. So enjoy a stick. So we got a stick which we'll talk about in a sec, a Lancero, quite an interesting Lancero as well. Or the variation on the Lancero, I should say. So it wasn't itself a Lancero, but it was just a lovely venue, sat in the trees in the opposite the church in Dronfield on the corner. It was just a cracking evening.
Yeah.
So talk us through a little bit on the stick itself, man, because I'd seen some previously, but I had no idea what was going on there.
So it was like I said, it was the Plasencia Year of the Snake. So we got there the Año de la Culebra, and this is a limited edition thing. So what we were told is that they only made 600 boxes, right? And 2 were there at that event last night.
That's right.
So that's only 6,000 sticks,
Yeah.
right? So that it's pretty
Worldwide.
Yeah. So anyway, it comes in a box of 10. It comes in 8 Lanceros. So it's a good 7-inch stick with a 40 ring gauge. But it also comes with 2 culebras. So culebra is snake. Serpiente is the generic word for snake, but culebra is like it's a little harmless snake that you might find in the garden, like a grass snake.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a culebra. So, and it's a weird looking cigar. It's a kind of like in a spiral. It's like a twisted stick. And we were told that very, very few rollers can do this.
One.
And in fact, there was only one. There was only
factory.
one at the Plasencia factory that could do it.
Yeah.
And Dion and I, we got the culebras.
It was very romantic.
It was It was. They were there for us.
They were there for us.
They were there for us.
Waiting for us.
It couldn't have been more romantic. So we got those, and then the rep chucked us a couple of cutters.
Snips. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Nice and weighty as well, weren't they?
They were weighty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, right? I know you got a nice Colibri one, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you paid a good bit of money for that. But
Yeah.
I've always been using the cheap ones, and I find they're all right. You know, like if you popped in for a quick stick and I don't have my cutter, you can pay £2 for a cheap thing, and it does the job. But I find that after a few sticks, they start to blunt up and they crush the stick a bit more than they cut it.
Yeah.
So it was nice to get a decent cutter for free.
And they were great. I mean, like you can cut them from both sides as well, which I think is quite handy.
Yeah, it was a double guillotine, and what was nice as well is that the blade was like a diamond.
That's right.
You get a nice cut on that. It wasn't a straight blade. Anyway, so the Culebra, it was the same dimensions as the Lancero.
Yeah.
Same vitola and ring gauge, but not the same vitola. The same ring gauge and the same length, but it was in this twisted format. And we did do some filming last night. We did get some footage of us reviewing the stick, and we got an interview as well. So we'll talk about that a bit later. But you'll see the stick. It's interesting. And I've got to say, and I think we both agreed that it was. I got to be honest. I was a little apprehensive about choosing the Culebra. Yeah. But I was not disappointed in the least. At all.
And it would never have been a stick that I would otherwise have picked.
No.
I think it was what was a great thing about the evening. That I'm a foundation boy. I'm also a creature of habit. I like my leaf dark.
Yeah.
I like my vitolas and the gauges. And it was completely different to what I would normally go for.
Yeah.
The stick itself, I found was really interesting, and the fact that it was sort of curled meant that as the burn goes down, and the construction was just outstanding, by the way. To say it's hand rolled, a very, very difficult skill to hand roll something in that format, in that construction. The construction was outstanding. But as it burned, and as you normally go through a stick, obviously you get those transitions from first third, second third, third third. But because it burns with like a bevel as it's curling round, you get these really nice transitions through the smoke.
Yeah, like you say, like at the points where the curl kind of goes from one angle to the next.
Yeah.
You do get like these kind of like little pockets of intensity where it's kind of transitioning from one like spiral to the next. But anyway, like you said, we typically go for like Maduros and really bold, strong, dark leaf sticks. This was. Now the guy told us about. Anyway, it was a Nicaraguan puro. So the binder, the wrapper, and the filler were all from Nicaragua.
But from different parts.
He said they were from different regions. I think he said one was from Esteli, which is obviously a big Nicaraguan tobacco area. He also said that they had at least 10 years age on them.
He said, are you correct?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's 40. That means it's 40 years age. Like it doesn't quite. I don't think it quite worked that way. But I think even at 10 years age, I thought they were great.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, and he did mention where they were from. I can't remember, but anyway, it was. I would say in terms of body, it was a good medium, knocking on strong.
Yeah.
But more firmly in the medium kind kind of range.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I remember first impression, first lighting up, and the first hit, just like a blast of kind of like honey sweetness.
Yeah.
That went away fairly quickly.
Peppery.
Yeah,
Spicy.
Exactly, yeah, to give way to some typical Nicaraguan black pepper, which, in my opinion, the Nicaraguan steaks, you always get a blast of black pepper in the first centimetre, let's say, couple of puffs. And then that always, in my experience, gives way to the main, it might subside into the background. There's always a little bit of black pepper in Nicaraguans, I think, which is, it's welcome, it's nice.
Which is fine.
Yeah, as long as it's harmonious with the rest. But it gave way to a lot of, if I remember correctly, like a lot of baking spice kind of.
Yeah.
Cinnamony, nutmeg, kind of macey kind of.
Yeah. Felt like definitely like a sweetness, like oaty. It was a little bit oaty.
Yeah.
And then sort of poking through that was a bit sort of cedary. You got some cedar notes in there.
Yeah,
some
a little
lighter
bit
woods.
Woody, yeah, definitely some woody notes. I'd say like cedary, like you said, a bit of like oaky. Yeah, for sure. And so we'd lit up. We'd had we were probably getting towards the end of the first third when the rep gave a bit of a talk on the stick.
I thought that was great, man. That was a real eye opener.
Yeah,
it really did give me a proper education.
It was informative, and we had a couple of conversations that night that I think were quite informative. I think we both learned a lot.
Yeah,
and then we went into the second third, and that I feel like the spice kind of gave way to some more. Like you picked up a floral note, which I think was a good shout. And when you said that, I can see what you meant by that. I got that too. It reminded me of like a jasmine kind of a floral note, like a night blooming kind of a honeysuckle, jasmine kind of thing. Yeah. A sweet floral note, not like a Lakeland floral, not like a geranium or anything, but a sweet jasmine honeysuckle kind of thing. Yeah. With a little bit of milk chocolate.
Yeah, and I got this was it was going round the corner, right? And I said to you like, "Ooh, coffee!" I got a real ping of coffee, like quite a light roast.
Yeah,
a bit like what I'm drinking now actually. It's Cuban Serrano, so like quite a light sort of morning coffee kind of vibe. And that I found started to come through a little bit more as it went into the stick. It wasn't there all the time, but as it kind of, so I got that first ping going into the second third. And then going into the third, I was getting it like regularly, a bit more often, but still kind of underneath. But yeah, that sort of chocolate, like say milk chocolate, it was good.
Yeah, I say milk chocolate differentiate from like a darker chocolate because when you're smoking something like the Foundation,
that CT Broadleaf,
the Connecticut Broadleaf. That's more of a dark chocolate, like a bitter cocoa. Yeah. But when I say the milk chocolate, when I say the milk chocolate, I'm talking more of like a mellow chocolate with the sweetness.
Sweet, yeah.
So definitely getting a little bit of chocolate there. And like you said, maybe like a light roast coffee, not a darker roast. Yeah. But some of the more, and like you will get some floral notes in like a lighter roast coffee.
Yeah, exactly that.
So I think that they all kind of melded together. It mellowed out. It mellowed out in the second.
It did.
In the second third.
It did. And it really started to kind of come into its own. Get a bit more complex, I found it. Just like that middle third. Maybe even a bit wider, because maybe that's because of the construction, but I was starting to... That middle third felt like it was more like a middle 50% kind of thing. You know, it was like a little bit either side, where it was really good, a bit like really complex. Didn't have to purge it at all. Thought it was very temperate. I know you purged a couple of times.
I purged it once. I think at the end of the second third, I was like, it's time to purge. It was getting a bit of build up. But I purged it out, gave it a hot purge, and it took care of that. Yeah, it took care of the bitterness.
Burnt very clean. Great draw.
Yeah, it was a great draw from start to finish. No tight spots, and also, especially considering we were smoking the snake. It was a very even burn.
It was,
very even burn. It was. It didn't want a canoe or anything.
Not at all.
There was no dips and valleys, anything like that. It was a really straight even burn.
Skill to be able to manage that. To roll that is absolutely out of this world.
I think like people now, a lot of people, just a bit of a tangent, but a lot of people now, we're beginning to rediscover. I mean, it's been kind of in the forefront, I think, for a good maybe 10 years, maybe even longer now. But people are turning back to like artisanal, handmade stuff.
Yeah.
People want sourdough bread.
Yeah.
People want
Craft ale.
Yeah, craft ale. People want like handmade, potteries and things like that, and natural products. Now, I mean, what's more natural than like a plant that's been grown, it's been aged, it's been fermented in the sun, it's been hung, it's been, some guy has rolled it, some guy with his hands has taken the time to arrange the leaf, some guys selected the leaves, and then it's got to the guy and he's rolled it by hand, he's finished it, he's put his name to it.
That's it. You've got guys that cut, you've got guys that shred it, you've got guys that blend it. Bro, talk a bit. So whilst we're on that bit, because I think this is a really good place to speak about it. One of the bits that really amazed me, listening to the rep talking from Placentia, was about how they select those leaves, and that the blend effectively starts when they're saying, right, we're going to create our flavour profile. I want a cigar that's going to taste. I want these notes. I want it to be rich. I want it to be robust. I want it to be woody. I want it to have mahogany flavours. I want it to have these kind of top notes. And straight away, the guys who are the experts at this will know which bit of the plant to take instinctively. Obviously, there's a little bit of experimentation goes on, and a bit of try, because it's natural, right? But they will know instinctively where the heat is, where the body is, where the sweetness is, and they will select the leaves from the plant to help at the very start of the process.
Yeah,
I was blown away when he was talking about that.
Yeah, well, it was, what he was saying is it was to do with like, basically what it came down to is the sun exposure, right? So you imagine like the tobacco plant and the leaves are coming from the bottom to the middle to the top, and he was saying that the leaves at the top that get the most sun exposure turn out to be the sweetest, and which I guess tracks, right, because they're probably photosynthesizing more. They're producing sugar.
Like tomatoes.
Right.
Have that sun ripened.
Exactly. Yeah. Sun ripening, and they do it with coffee too. Like there's a Colombian one that I drink a lot. That they do the sun. They put it out in the sun to, and like you said with the tomatoes, the sun dried tomatoes. That's where the intensity and the sweetness is from. And he says that as you get lower down the plant, that you tend to get like milder flavors. But I think. One time we were talking about Burley, and there was one of the guys that came on here quite. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Flat Cap Piper. He was saying that on the Burley plant, it's actually the bottom leaves that are the dark leaves.
Right.
It's the bottom leaves that are the bolder flavors, and the white Burley is at the top.
Right.
Which is brighter, a bit more astringent, a bit more
acidic.
So it seems like with the Burley plant, it's the opposite way around. I don't know, but.
Interesting.
It tracks to me what the guy said about the top leaves getting more sun exposure, being sweeter.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. And he was going into it quite a bit, talking about, and he was saying how to be a roller at Placentia, you need to have been working there for 10 years. And like me, I was like, oh, what are you going to be doing there for 10 years if you're not rolling? And he was like, well, there's so many there's so many jobs. You can be in charge of fermentation, you can be in charge of aging, you can be in charge, you can be in the fields, you can be
planting, germinating. It was wild, and all of these jobs come together to make one stick. And just the right kind of flavour profile. It was amazing. It was amazing to hear the love and the craft, the gilded craft that goes into making them. It was amazing.
Yeah, for real. And I think it's probably easy to underappreciate, like in these places like Dominican Republic, because that's what he was mainly talking about. Yeah, he's talking about the Dominican Republic, but Dominica, Nicaragua, Honduras, how the tobacco industry is a huge deal to these people.
So they put them through schools, don't they?
Yeah.
They send them into it, like they get them educated.
Yeah.
They build community centres. They build recreational facilities for the kids. It was amazing. side of the tobacco industry that you don't hear about.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not told about that.
No.
We're not told about that. We're just told that it's
it's
an evil.
yeah,
It's
it's
evil.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it was really really nice to have that talk and to learn some stuff.
And paired it up with a whiskey. Now,
Yeah.
I've got a gentleman just on here who's just dialed in, who knows a bit about whiskey and he can tell us a bit about it. We are both really well. Mr. Beginning, what have we got in the bowls? So, we've both got BF1, Billy Flake 1 with some Maduro leaf. Harry's got his faithful Falcon. And I'm breaking my new Savinelli Clarks in. But, so, Duncan, we had paired up with a Plasencia Year of the Snake special cigar that we had last night, limited edition cigar last night at the at one of the cigar tasting events near us. They paired it with a
Dalmor 15.
15
Yeah.
single malt, and it's been a little while since I've had some scotch, and I loved it. It was a really lovely combination with the smoke.
Yeah.
Little bit of peatiness. It got real sweet notes to it. It got a real sweetness. It wasn't sort of excessively peated, but it was there. It was nice, and it was sweet without being over sweet and and affecting the balance. They paired up so nicely. One didn't overshadow the other. Both of the flavour profiles kind of lifted each other up. I was a big fan. And then we heard James, the guy from Mitchell's, telling us that I overheard. He said, "Oh yeah, this is the 12 or the 15."
That was the 15. Yeah.
So they do an 18 year, and the 18 year for a bottle was about 200 quid.
Yeah.
So it nearly knocked me off my stool. But it was great. It was great. It was just a really lovely evening. Really
It was a great
enjoyed
evening.
it.
Yeah, I don't think I've had any scotch since Christmas.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I had. I had 2 bottles of scotch over Christmas.
Yeah.
I had Highland Park 12,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah, that's a nice drop.
It's a great drop, very balanced, sweet. I think it's got a bit of everything. It's got it's got honey sweetness.
Yeah.
It's got a touch of peaty smoke. It's just very balanced. And then I also had the Odd Bay. I think you say Odd Bay,
nice,
right?
yeah.
The Odd Bay Wee Beastie, which I think is 5 years.
Yeah.
I think it's 5 years, and it's a smoke bomb.
Yeah.
It's really piney, Latakia smoke.
Yeah.
But also sweet.
Yeah.
Also a bit of sweetness in there.
That's good.
It was lovely.
Yeah. See, I'm not afraid of a bit of peat. I quite like a Lafroig meal. That's
Yeah.
like peat.
I like the peat.
But this was a nice balance. Yes, Dalmor has a lovely sweetness. Yeah, 15 is a very special drink. It was lovely. It was really lovely. Yeah, we were really treated, weren't we?
Yeah,
They really looked after
just a lovely night. Yeah.
And what's cool about the move with Mitchell, just to give them another little nod, they're wanting to get into pipe. They've already started bringing some decent pipes in, haven't they? They've got some Falcons in there. They've got some Savs in there now as well, I believe.
Yeah, they got a couple of Savinellis in there. They got a nice little Savinelli 1 starter kit. So you get a pouch, you get the Savinelli 1 pipe. You get a tamper, and so that's all in there for 70 quid, which is I think it's like 74, 75 quid, which is great.
That's good.
They got a couple of big bends in there. They got 2 big bends in there, an English pie.
Yeah.
One of them is a really nice bent sort of apple with
Yeah.
a naked, a natural kind of finish on it, which I
Lovely.
got my eye on. Yeah.
And the leaf's getting good as well in there now. So they've got some Petersons in there. They've got some. I noticed that they had some Germains in last time I was in. I messaged you pretty quick. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
they got Germains in. So can we get some Rich Dark Flake?
Yeah.
They didn't have any Rich Dark Flake in, but we had a chat again with them last night, and they're wanting to expand a little bit and really hope it takes.
He was so and I mean, Duncan, I was up in Scotland a couple of weeks back. I was in Edinburgh. I went into the Edinburgh Pipe Shop, which I've visited their website a few times. Never bought anything from them, but I actually stopped by. And I had a great chat with Steve in there. I think he did take the YouTube. I don't know if he's subscribed, but I suppose great guy, really nice guy. And I asked about the Rich Dark Flake, and they said they didn't have any. They had some of the brown flake in, but I gave my name and he said he'd give me a shout if if they came in. Yeah. So James from Mitchell's, he was talking.
They wanted to get like a lounge going and make it more of a sort of a social thing.
Yeah.
People come in.
Well, that's the other thing. They're opening a lounge right next to where they are in Meadowhead, Sheffield. So, I think that's in the pipeline for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
They don't have a definite date yet, but I think we're looking at next few weeks.
Yeah. So anything we can do to help.
Yeah, we'll plug it.
Yeah,
we'll plug that for sure.
We're all good. Smoked a pipe for 20 years. Yet to dip my toe into the world of cigars. Definitely tempted. Unsure where to start. Well, seriously, that was the kind of thing again. Like to give Mitchell's another slight plug is that So I've been to other cigar shops. There was Hollingsworth's in Birmingham. I've been to the one that we went to, Cigar and Snuff in Covent Garden, and good selections, good solid selections, some nice stuff in there. But I've just found the staff. The thing that sets them apart is that the staff were so forthcoming and helpful. Yeah. They weren't condescending or sniffy, or it wasn't like that at all. Elitist. They were like, what do you like? What kind of things? Oh, let me show you what we've got. And they were really they wanted you to enjoy it. They wanted you to enjoy it. They'd give you some good honest reviews of stuff. Some good steers, some good pointers, and get you in there and keep you coming back. I think that for me is probably 80% of why I keep going back to Mitchell's in the first place. It's the people.
Yeah, the staff are great, and they'll help you out. I mean, I was talking about this last night, Duncan. I was saying how I had tried a couple of cigars, not had great experience. I just think cigars, if you're going in at cigars, I do feel that's like jumping in the deep end.
Yeah.
But so I kind of knocked that on the head for a bit, and then I got into pipes, and then after I've been smoking a pipe for a good year or maybe two, that's when I kind of got back into the cigars, and I found that probably having been exposed to tobacco, acquiring the taste for tobacco, but also acquiring a bit of a nicotine tolerance, that allowed me to really start to enjoy cigars. So my guess would be, if you got into cigars now, having been a pipe smoker for so long, you'll be well placed to really appreciate and enjoy a good cigar.
You get your palate as well. You know what you like.
Yeah,
it's good.
It really depends. What kind of blends are you into at the minute, Duncan? Maybe we can make some suggestions.
Yeah.
It's a different. So I've heard it said that cigars are akin to whiskey, whereas the pipe tobacco is more akin to wine. So wine's got a greater breadth of flavor profiles, and you got your reds and your whites, and then within that you've got your different regions, and you got so there's
sweets, full bodied,
exactly, dry and sweet, exactly. You got whereas with whiskey, like a Scotch or a bourbon, it's there's less of a breadth of flavor, but the depth is more there, and I do think that is a good comparison with the cigars. But so if you can English, bulk, and preferable, attack you forward. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that's the one kind of flavor profile that I don't think is really present in cigars. You don't get that resiny kind of smoke in there.
That's a fair one. I wonder about some of the broadleaf sticks though. I wonder if that would do it. Although I don't know.
For me personally, I think the broadleaf kind of stuff and Maduros in general, that is the counterpart to burley.
Yeah,
I would say. So I think if you like those Balkans, you got a touch of that Oriental in there, just a touch of a kind of spice. You might be looking at something something with a Corojo wrapper, something that's medium bodied, and with a bit of pepper in there, a bit of cayenne, a bit of black pepper, just a bit of spice. You might find some kind of Oriental style notes in there. If you look at something with a Corojo wrapper, Corojo. I mean, we had last night after after the main stick, we had a little
Camacho.
Camacho Machito, like a small one. That had a Corojo wrapper. So not full bodied to the extent of like a Maduro, like a like the broadleaf, but not light bodied either.
Yeah.
And
so I was thinking maybe something like a Dorado as well, maybe an AJ Dorado.
Well, yeah, I mean that's great. That's a great.
Got a bit of everything. It's
that's
a nice all-rounder.
That's a great recommendation. Yeah, the AJ Fernandez New World Dorado. Yeah, that's a. Was that grown in? It's grown in Golden Sand.
Yeah, that's right. So it's their leaf. It's Nicaraguan leaf, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's got real Cuban vibes about it.
It's grown in a particular kind of sand. They call it the Golden Sand, and it's an unusual stick. It's a little bit honey sweetness, but also quite citrusy, quite spicy. It's an unusual flavor profile, definitely. That might be a good.
It's kind of its own thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite unique, I would say. So the AJ Fernandez New World Dorado, that might be a
good construction.
Yeah.
Good draw. You know, I don't think I've ever smoked a bad one.
No.
Pretty reliable.
Yeah, I got about 10 of those.
Yeah.
A while back. Yeah. Yeah. Unusual stick, but that's a good shout. Yeah. So I'd say the Dorado, maybe something with a Corojo.
The Camacho was a good move actually.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that stick last night. It was like a pudding stick.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a Rosado wrapper. Rosado is like meaning pink, rose pink. So it's got like a bit of a. It's got like a bit of a red tinge to it. That again, that's quite a peppery, bit of a spicy stick. So yeah, I mean, I would look into those. I would say.
Yeah, and have a chat with the guys that you're buying from.
Yeah,
they'll steer you as well.
Yeah, if you've got anywhere where you can get into a brick and mortar shop.
Yeah, pick them up, have a smell. Have a look at some.
Yeah, let them kind of be the guide. But there's really nothing in the cigar world that I think is a direct parallel to Latakia. Latakia is so unique to pipe.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've had any, but I do like it.
Well, I'll tell you something. The other week,
Byzantium, I think.
Byzantium is great.
Yeah.
I polished off my tin of Purple Cow.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed it.
It's great.
I don't know if it's because I'd let it rest for a while, but when I was first smoking it, I was like, I'm enjoying the burley, I'm enjoying the cigar leaf. The Latakia is out of place.
Yeah.
And I was like, this ought to be Perique rather than Latakia.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was doing something different. I don't know if I was packing it differently. I don't know if I was using a different pipe. But the other week when I polished off that tin, I just found that the Latakia had really taken more of a back, and I actually appreciated the bit of smoke that it brought to the chocolatey kind of sweetness of the burley in the cigar leaf. So I really enjoyed it. I might get on tin and just try it.
Move. Yeah, that's a good move.
Yeah,
I've still got a good healthy jar of Byzantium left, and
I got plenty of Byzantium.
That's a cracker.
Yeah,
worth a shout.
Yeah. Have a look at that Dorado, man. See what you think. And to be honest, AJ Fernandez in general are a very good cigar. You might look at Diaz de Gloria as well, the Glory Day stick. Then, I mean, my particular favourites from AJ Fernandez would be the Puro Especial and also the Belas Artes, but they are Maduros, so they are like a really bold, kind of full-bodied, chocolatey, coffee kind of stick. Particularly the Belas Maduros is just chocolate. It's like a bar of chocolate. The Puro Especial, I really say it's like a salted caramel.
Oh, that was lovely.
Latte.
Yeah.
It's got strong coffee.
Yeah.
It's got a touch of chocolate, but it's also got a caramel sweetness and a little bit of a salty note. Very, very good. I'm not smoking for a while, but
I had one who was in Cyprus. Yeah. And it was a banger, and especially like that kind of climate, it was really good.
So good, and that's got some age on it. That's still there. So yeah,
that's good. Let us know how you get on, Duncan. Have a look, have a chat, and let us know how you do.
Yeah. Next time we're in, let us know if you picked anything up.
So in general, it was a great night. enjoyed it. We've got another one coming up on Friday.
Yeah.
Haven't we?
So they had a raffle, and they didn't even charge us for a ticket, did they? They didn't like. It was just like you were in because you were there.
Yeah.
So they took our names down, and like the first prize was a free ticket for the next night, which is next Friday. And yeah, it was just like, oh, it's Harry.
And I knew it would be.
Yeah.
I was like, it's gonna be Harry.
Yeah.
And it was.
In my head, I was like, he's gonna say my name. I just feel it. I just feel he's gonna say my name, and he did. And it's a Christoph night. There's 2 sticks. I've never smoked Christoph before.
Yeah, never.
I don't think I've. In fact, I think they said it's new to their stock. I haven't seen it in there, so that would scan, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the guys from the US is coming over. It's going to be 4th of July. It's going to be Independence Day. So I mean,
2 sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 2-stick night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be good. Yeah, and that'll be in Sheffield. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely.
So we've got a bit of editing to do. We're going to get a bit of footage up from the night from last night, aren't we?
Yeah, we got some good footage. We checked in with a first, second, and third bit of a review. I got a bit of footage of this because it's a nice, very nice pub.
Yeah,
it's a nice old pub. It's in a really nice spot. There's the church across, a beautiful church across from the street. Nice old stone buildings. And we had a little bit of a chat with James from Mitchell's. So there's 2 James from Mitchell's.
Yeah.
There's James who
James at Mitchell's and James Mitchell.
Yeah. So James at Mitchell's we spoke to. He so Mitchell's just got in a bunch of I think that there was a Connecticut wrapper, a natural wrapper, and a Maduro wrapper that Perdomo have made specifically for the Mitchell's 90th anniversary. They've been kicking around 90 years now. So he was talking about those. He was talking about the plans for kind of expanding the pipe and the pipe tobacco range in the shop.
Because he was saying that that Perdomo, like, they don't do private blends.
Yeah.
Only for like 2 clients, I think they said, who like say traffic, who just bulk buy shipping containers full of sticks.
Yeah.
Well, Mitchell's only a small little place. I mean, it's cracking, but it's only a tiny place. This guy, these 2 firms that had got Perdomo private blends were they basically buy in more sticks than the UK buys in a year. Like they just order massive. But he'd been out there and he'd spoken to the guys there. They put him up. They gave him a load of hospitality. They looked after him. He in turn he looked after them as well. And then he said, "Oh, I need to have a chat with him because I wouldn't mind maybe some private blends." And someone said, "Oh, they'll not do that. There's only 2 suppliers in the world that get private reserve blends." And he rang him up and he said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, they said, go back to the next day, didn't they?
Yeah.
Said, we'll do it for you. So, I mean, props to James for that. Clearly, Nick at Perdomo liked him and, saw something. So, props to James for that. So, yeah, he spoke to us about that. So, we've got a little bit of a chat from him to edit into the video. So, yeah, hopefully, God willing, I will do that over this weekend and put it up over the weekend, time permitting. So yeah, there was that,
and then we're back there on Friday in Kelham Island this time in Sheffield. Yeah. So we'll get some footage of that too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty basic setup that I've put together. So I've just got a bit of a selfie stick, which is a little bit. I don't know if you noticed, but it was drawing a bit of attention last night. There was one guy who was just straight up staring at us, and I was like, "Are we ready? Are we ready, pal?" And then when we were talking to James, like there's a bloke walked past, go, "They're influencers. Not trying to influence anything.
We're influencing nobody. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's a pretty like standard, very basic. I just got this selfie stick. I got a Google Pixel. The picture is beautiful. It's good. Come out really good. And then I got like a couple of cheap lapel mics, which the audio is coming out really clean on it. But there's a couple of bits where it's on my lapel. It's a bit too close to my gob, and it's coming in a bit too strong. So, but we'll remedy that for next time. We'll keep it further away.
Yeah.
But I think it's working out now, and hopefully we'll be producing more content that is like pre-recorded stuff. We'll still be doing the monthly live stream and a bit more frequently if we're able to. But I think it'd be good if we got back to some of the the videos that we used to put out.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we've got Mark Edgar on. He's finally caught it live. Good lad.
Welcome, brother.
We never doubted you. Good to have you with us. So there's plenty of stuff coming up. There are more things, so we're talking quite a lot with Mitchells at the moment about things. So there's sort of more things in the pipeline with them. Some exciting stuff with Pipe that we can't go into too much yet, but it's going to be, if it all comes together, pretty exciting.
Yeah. So there's some stuff to look forward to. Yeah, for real.
I'll keep you guys.
And it was just a good night. Like the guys, like we got talking to one guy in particular. We sort of made friends with that guy.
Yeah, a good crowd. Everybody just there wanting a stick and a chat and a good time.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, it was a really cool vibe because, like, I mean, I always, like, some of you guys have said before that you don't have smoking buddies, and we're really lucky to have each other to be able to smoke with. But it was just really cool to be in an environment where everyone is just enjoying a smoke. Yeah. Everyone's getting on. Everyone's having a good time. Yeah. It's just it just felt nice to just meet some of the other guys who are similar like-minded individuals.
Yeah, it got a real hearth
feel
to it.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. You used to put a precise notification on. We have in the past, haven't we? We've had notifications on, but
I did. I mean, that's kind of my bad. I've been less hot on that. I'll have to start doing that.
We can get a bit more.
Yeah, typically I did put one out like at least the day before.
Yeah, we'll get back on that. So we've also, because we're still into Greek tragedy mode, so we thought we'd finish up tonight with perhaps just a bit of a chat on Casino.
Yeah. So
like sort of tying off the mob films and the Greek tragedy series that we wanted to go into. So we managed to find out now Casino is an investment in time.
Yeah. It's a long movie.
It's a bit of an epic. But it's one that it's my favourite Scorsese film. I know that's probably heresy to guys who absolutely adore, rightly, Goodfellas and others. But I really wanted to do Casino. It was an interesting. It was interesting trying to sort of marry up the Greek tragedy sort of framework.
Yeah.
And put a Greek tragedy lens on this because it's an interesting story as Casino. It's told again from. It's I think it's less so about one guy, less so than Goodfellas is. It's all from Henry's perspective.
Yeah.
This is more so about the casino, right? This is the what was going on and the people who were around it, and it's told from different perspectives.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point. I think Scorsese is quite well known for like the complexity of the story. Like when you're watching a Scorsese flick, particularly like the mob flicks, I think you have to be paying attention to what's going on. You have to be paying attention to what people's motives are and the little conversations that they're having and where things are going. But
so maybe if we take it from a character perspective, then we look at the players who are in there. We've got Sam Rothstein, who's a Jewish handicap bettor, who was tied and associated with the Chicago mob that doesn't outright say that Chicago is the Chicago firm.
Yeah. So he's an associate.
He's not in
the Italian mob, but he's not a part of it.
You've got Nicky Santoro, who is in the mob.
He is a main guy.
He's kind of the enforcer. So it's Joe Pesci to Robert De Niro's Sam Rothstein, and Joe Pesci's character Nicky is based on the Ant, Tony Spilotro. And he plays it to a T. He looks just like him. But not only that, his mannerisms and the way that he puts the character together. Nicky is he's a mob guy. He's an enforcer. He's a tough nut, and he's been put in there to basically oversee. So Sam has been put in there to run the casino to make money. They're going to skim money off the top of the casino for the mob bosses who were in the Midwest. Who were originally based in Chicago. Nicky is there to keep an eye on him, to look after him, to make sure none of the other mobs rip into him and interfere with the skim. We've got Ginger, who is Sam's love interest and wife, good time girl. Yeah. And then we've kind of got the periphery characters. We've got Frank, Frank Carlotta in real life, Frank Marino in the film, and it's the way that these guys sort of interacted and interplay with each other. So Sam has been trusted with running the casino because he's got a touch of the tism about him, right? So he's a sure thing. He makes money for the mob. He knows betting inside out, and he knows how to make the casino make money.
Yeah.
So he's been brought in there to make sure that happens. He's talked into it. To start with, he's like, well, I'm not all that fussed, but he kind of gets. I think privately he really wanted to do it, so that he got brought in. He's given the Tangiers casino to run, and through a load of his ideas, he starts implementing some ideas, and the casino starts making some real serious wedge, to the point where they're going back. They've got the mob bosses that have got their guy that comes into the count room, collects the money, sends it back home, and they're making book. Nicky fancies a piece of the action. He's trusted by the mob bosses, but they know that he's got another side to him, that he can be a bit reckless and a bit wild. But he goes out there because he says he's got heat on him from the guys back home who are obviously trying to keep him on the straight and narrow. He doesn't want to be on the straight and narrow. He likes the mob life. He goes out there. He sees Vegas not as a job. He sees it as a lifestyle, right? So Nicky goes over there and starts doing his own thing, and starts. Initially, he starts trying to game the casinos. He starts trying to get involved and gets his crew involved, and they're doing games in there to try and make the cheating basically, aren't they? To the point where Sam tells him effectively, "You've got to pack it in. You've got to stop." He doesn't pack it in. He doesn't stop, and because he gets black booked, so he gets basically outlawed from any of the casinos in Vegas. So he starts robbing. And they call themselves the Hole in the Wall Gang because they just basically park a van next to where they're robbing. They smash the wall in and they rob the safes. Talk us a bit with Sam and Ginger.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, like you said at the beginning, for me personally, I found it harder to, and maybe this is just me, but I found it harder to really kind of correlate it to a specific kind of Greek tragedy. But one of the things that I think is common to a lot of the Greek tragedies is like the idea of being willfully blind, being given ample warning about whatever it may be, that this is going to be your downfall, and just like powering ahead anyway, and just ignoring that. So like in this case, the willful blindness is, and it's painful to watch, is Sam Rothstein. He one night a working girl, she's a lady of the evening, comes into the casino. He catches her on the rob. She's nicking chips, and but he's just infatuated from the beginning. So they start to be hanging out more, spending more time together, and she's clear. She's clearly not let's say she's not an upright citizen, right?
She tells him as much, right?
And she makes it very clear, from the beginning. Anyway, after, I think it says that they've only known each other like a few months, he proposes to her. He says that he wants a family. He wants her to be the mother of his kids. He wants to build a home and a family and a life together. She's straight up like they're going from kind of having like a good time. Her face drops at the proposal.
Yeah.
She's like, that ain't me.
Yeah.
I ain't what you're looking for. And then he goes into full rationalization mode. He's like, oh, but it'll grow over time. We'll make it work. I think you're going to be a good mother, which is a really weird thing to say.
It really
knowing
is.
What we know about her.
Like, does she think is that going to impress her?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then anyway, they do end up getting married. It turns out she's still hung up on this rug dealer. Back in wherever she's from. Played by James Woods. Yeah. He's a rug dealer, deals in Persians, shaggy rugs, things like that.
A bit of a huggy bear as well.
Yeah. So he's a real, again, not an upright citizen. And on the wedding night, she's calling him. He's telling her that he loves her, and that she's crying and she's drinking too much. It's just awful. It's just really tough to watch.
That's one of the big parts of the hubris in terms of his personal life, and they bleed into each other. But then into his business life and the dealings with the casino, there's another element of hubris that crops up where. So that's one of the areas where one of the pivots of the stories where he goes all in with Ginger, but then he's an outsider. He's an outsider with the mob boss, with the mob and the mob bosses. He's an outsider in Vegas. He just doesn't know it. He feels like he's not, but he is. The people who really run Vegas are the old boys, right? And the old boys expect him to hire some local old boys to keep them juiced in.
Yeah.
He gets one of them, and he's pretty useless, and he's a bit thick, and bad stuff starts happening, and he balls him out in front of people, and then fires him. And the next pivot, like the business pivot, if you like, is when the county commissioner comes in and says, "Look, can you rehire him? Do you want to think a bit about what you've done?"
Yeah, it's his brother-in-law, right?
It's his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And then he tries just a kind of a little bit of a poke to say, "Do you want people to find out about what kind of people you work with?
Yeah. Might
not look good." He snaps back at him, and in fairness to the county commissioner, he backs off a little bit, gives him some space, and he says, "Well, look, let's be reasonable.
Yeah.
We're both reasonable guys. I know he's useless. You know he's useless. Can we just find him a little job somewhere, keep him out of the way, somewhere safe?" And at this point, this is the point in which he's got a decision, the crossroads. He could turn back. He could say, "Well, yeah, okay, look, let me have a chat with my bosses. Let me have a chat with my guys. Let me see what I can work with." He could have called the mob bosses back home, told them what the situation was. He didn't do that. He could have listened to Pat Webb. He could have done it under his own steam and think, "Well, I can put him on the bar. I can let him run the bars somewhere safe where it doesn't matter if it drops a little bit of money." He doesn't do that either. He just says no, and it doesn't go down well.
No.
And at that point, both these two things, these influences, start to exert themselves on initially separately, but then more so, progressively they intertwine, and the casino starts dropping off, and things start going wrong. So with Ginger, she starts acting up, and he just completely loses control of their relationship. Nicky starts getting involved a little bit with Ginger as well, and then he starts really getting involved with her. She starts going really wild and off the rails. As a reaction to Sam's natural proclivity to be controlling over stuff, she rebels against that and starts getting out of control. She takes money and goes and spends it on her ex-boyfriend, who is still really a current boyfriend. Nicky starts going wild, and he's doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing. He's banned from casinos, but he still turns up, doesn't care. And then eventually the mob bosses work out that stuff's going wrong with the casino. The drop's off, something's not right, and they send Frank Vincent to say, "Oh, what's going on, Frankie?" They call him in, don't they, and say, "Right, is he messing with the big guy's wife?" And at this point, it's quite clear that it's all starting to drop to pieces. And then eventually, the one of the mob bosses has got a bit of a mouth. He got a bit of a temper, and he gets all emotional. Everything he says just gets recorded. Everything, like the whole lot. Right, who's doing what? Who's in charge? Who the clean faces? Who the big players are behind the scenes? He shouldn't be involved in the casino, Sam, because of his record. He's not even filed a proper application to be a casino boss. And so County Commissioner Pat Webb does no more. He influences the committee to basically revoke Sam's license, so he can no longer run the casino. Hubris bit number 2. What happens then?
So, right, catch you on speed. So he's
been told by Remo, he's got to be a bit quieter. He's got to back things off a little bit, take another job. It's not the perfect scenario, but he can still be involved. But whatever job he takes, he's got to be quiet, out of the public eye.
What does he do, remember?
He has his own TV show.
Oh, right, of course, yeah. Yeah, he makes the TV show, yeah.
And starts snapping back at the commissioners that were on the board. they've all got mob ties, all of them.
He's making it extremely public.
So all he has to do really is speak to Remo and get it all smoothed out. He doesn't want to do that. He just starts calling them out. So what do? They boot him. They get it so that he can't get a license and won't ever get a license. Yeah, that's it. And then eventually, once the FBI get wind of it, the gaming agents and then eventually the FBI, they get wind of what's going on. They hear and see what Ginger's shouting her mouth off. She's off her head all the time. She's saying, I'm going to the FBI. So Nicky, who his hubris moment was like, oh, I'm going to get involved. Vegas is mine. I'm going to become the next boss. Forget about Remo. Come in with me instead. Sam doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be beholden to Nicky. He doesn't really want to be beholden to the mob either. He wants to do it his own way. So that's not going to work for him. Ginger is just a complete mess. And so the mob eventually... So the FBI find out what's been going on. They know what's going on. They raid it. And all the mob bosses basically get pulled in. And it goes to court. And they have a private meeting at the back. They say it's better with no witnesses. So they just clip everybody.
Yeah, in brutal fashion. Yeah. So Frank Vincent, Nicky's erstwhile friend, is given the job of there's no real friends in the mob. They're all just business associates. But they whack you with a smile on their face. So like with Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, it's his mates that do it. Yeah.
It's Frank Vincent who's kind of involved again, and he gets a proper beat down and buried alive.
So tough.
It's grim. Yeah. It's really grim. And we doesn't openly say. In fact, it doesn't even say explicitly in the movie who Sam thinks did it. But somebody plants a bomb under his car. Yeah. It goes off. But because of the construction of the car blows up.
There's a plate under
the seat, under the passenger side seat, which is where they put the bomb. And now it's funny because it kind of implies that if Sam was doing it, he'd have looked at the car.
Yeah.
He'd know what kind of car it was, and if they'd done the job properly, because it's amateur hour, right? They put the bomb on the car. It goes off, but he lives.
Yeah.
And so,
but you don't know that because at the start of the film, you see the car bomb.
That's right.
It's like a bookend kind of situation.
Yeah.
And you would just believe that it's going to end in his demise.
That's right. But it doesn't. So the fall. So we've had the Amartya. We've had the hubris, and then the Amartya. The fall starts coming in. For Nicky, the fall takes him right to the grave, to a shallow grave out in the sticks. Ginger, she ends up nicking all the money. She goes off the rails, and she gets a hot dose and dies.
Yeah.
And for Sam, he ends up right back where he started. So similarly to with Henry Hill, he's like right back where I started. He's making book for the mob. He goes back to just like gambling stuff.
Yeah. Mark says Casino is a great film. De Niro's wardrobe is unbelievable. Yeah,
it is.
And I pointed out a few times that some of the suits are just.
That's a Scorsese thing for me as well. The wardrobe's absolutely on point. Not just Sam, who was a flamboyant dresser. Lefty Rosenthal, the character that he was based on, the real person he was based on. They kind of hint it a little bit. They needle him, don't they? With saying like, like it's a bit fruity.
Yeah, the Barrymore.
Yeah, the Barrymore. Yeah, but with a cigarette holder.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I noticed that the suits are beautiful.
Ginger.
Yeah, but I would just say that there's one scene as well where Ginger's meeting up with James Woods in like a little diner, and then he shows up. De Niro shows up,
right.
And he's wearing this beautiful suit. It's kind of a light grey jacket and trousers with like an oxblood kind of shirt. And if you look at what James Woods is wearing, he's also wearing like this oxblood. It's not a proper shirt. It's like maybe a t-shirt or something. But it's oxblood as well.
Yeah.
And he's wearing this kind of jacket, not a suit jacket,
like a kind of a Gucci sport jacket in it.
Yeah, and it's also like a light grey. So I don't know if we were supposed to be looking at them as wearing the same kind of outfit. I don't know what that was supposed to mean, but
there's some mirroring going on there.
Yeah, to me it seemed like that was deliberate. And I mean, I don't think there's anything Scorsese does that isn't deliberate.
But there was a bit in the when he's meeting Pat Webb, and all it does, it shows you, because to start with,
sure.
De Niro's got no trousers on, right? So he's wandering around with no breeches on.
Yeah.
And then the commissioner comes in, he puts his trousers on, and then it just shows you a shot of their trousers and their shoes.
Yeah.
And you've got County Commissioner Pat Webb with his jeans and his cowboy boots. And you've got De Niro with his silk trousers and his loafers, these nice Italian leather loafers, to kind of give you a shot of the mismatch between the two worlds, these two worlds standing opposite each other, which was cool. But also as well, the way that they show Ginger's fall, because her fall comes, I think, quite early on. It's a slow-mo, gradual fall, but it her dress as it goes through the film, you know, she's dolled up to the nines. She's wearing furs and like these beautiful dresses
and lovely long hair.
Right. And it kind of culminates where they go to like this awards ceremony, and she's dressed up like a queen. I mean, like literally like a queen. It's all gold. It's like this beautiful Armani dress that apparently Sharon Stone said was like one of the most uncomfortable things she's ever had to wear. But it just looks amazing. And then as it goes through, she starts getting really jakey and
she has like that rat tail mullet thing.
And it really mimics and enhances this kind of fall of this character throughout. But that's not by accident at all. That's always on point for me.
BK's in.
Oh, good man.
Welcome,
good
BK. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, we're all good. So the fall at the end, you know, it kind of wraps up, and you're right, it's kind of bookended, and it starts off the credits. It's like the explosion, and then everything's falling.
Yeah.
At the end, and again, it does the same, but at the end of the movie, not only does De Niro fall and Nicky fall into the grave, and so does Ginger, but you start to see the casinos being demolished as well, and it was the fall not just of the outfit of Remo and the guys back home, their fall, but the mob in general are just booted out of Vegas. And they said basically it's the last time the mob ever gets a chance to be involved in anything like that ever again, and everything just starts to collapse.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Great movie.
It's a great movie. It's a complex plot. You got, like I said, you got to be paying attention.
Some whacking chunks of humour in there as well. There's some real laugh out loud funny bits, like some of it a bit unintentionally, but some cracking bits. The attention to detail with the characters is amazing. There's one bit that always cracks me up when Nicky's going in. He's on the blackjack table, and it's just paint after paint after paint. King, Queen, Jacks, Aces, and he's just chucking it at him. And the dealer that they had for that scene was an old. It was based on the Stardust Casino. It was an old Stardust dealer, and he said, "Oh, Pesci, it's like he's back in."
Oh,
it's
really?
like, because he knew Tony Spilotro. It's like he's back in. And there are shots. If you Google the pictures, there are photos of the time, contemporary photos of Tony wandering around with his lawyer. And man, Pesci has just absolutely got it nailed. He looks just like him. Yeah, it's wild. So man, I've got to say, like the whole the Greek tragedy lens that we've been looking at, I think it's been a great. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed watching the movies with that.
Me too.
So we fancied. I wonder if we start kind of branching into. We thought about NAMM films.
We're looking at a NAMM season,
Yeah. Kind of getting towards July, maybe. So kind of like got to that.
It ain't me.
it ain't me. So we're no Senator's sons, but we'd be up for that. So we've got a couple that we're sort of thinking about.
Yeah. And then bringing it into October, we'll look at something like a spooky season.
Yeah. And I did think maybe towards the back end of the NAMM series, there's a Korean movie about Vietnam, because they were in NAMM as well.
Which I didn't even know until you mentioned that film.
I didn't until I watched it.
I had no idea South Korea was in that. Yeah,
right. And that's a horror film, so that will take us then into hopefully spooky season. We can start getting into that'll be like a nice crossover into Halloween, into October.
Yeah, good little segue. Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's good to have everybody on tonight. It's nice that we've had a few on. We've got some. We've got some more stuff coming up. We've got the show. We've got the cigar night next week that we'll take some shots of. We'll get a bit more diligent with putting some bits of community posts as well. Maybe.
Yeah, because I've noticed that like a few even saying, oh, like I'm struggling to catch it live. I've been a bit lax on giving out the community posts, like when we're actually going to do it, so I'll get a bit tighter on that. For you guys that didn't catch the start, we were talking about this cigar tasting night that we went to last night. So we shot some footage from that last night. Over the weekend, God willing, I will edit that, put that together and get that out. I'll get the kids to bed and then I'll put some coffee on and I'll do that, hopefully.
Alright, good.
Yeah, so that we got that coming out, and and
then hopefully we're thinking about going back into some of the like the tutorial stuff.
Yeah,
chatting with James last night, said that for cigar smokers, I think intimidated maybe a bit too strong a word. Like a lot of them are kind of interested, but James's own words were, where do we start? What do we do? So obviously we've got some content that we've done previously on tools and maintenance, on packing, on sort of tips and tricks. So it might be that we revisit some of that, refresh some of it, maybe again some little some tutorial videos. But I think that might be due a refresh.
Yeah.
So maybe we can get stuck into that a little bit as well going forward.
And maybe some more tobacco reviews as well. Because the way I started off was doing the tobacco reviews.
Yeah.
So I think I've just been a bit lazy about that. But yeah, that'd be good to do some more tobacco reviews and stuff. And I really like like I said last night, we were out and about taking some footage out and about, and I really liked that. That was a good vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll do some more stuff like that.
Could do some on-set stuff as well. So while we're out and about, we can do a pack and a light and a review while we're out.
Yeah.
We've got the weather. So that's in the pipeline. So yeah, lots to look forward to. And in the meantime, we'll keep getting the casts in, keep getting the movie reviews in.
Yeah.
And keep you guys coming back and having a drink and a smoke with us.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it.
Yeah. As the food and beverage manager, something the job says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Food and beverage director. Yeah, it's great. What a great movie. But yeah, we've got some more stuff coming up. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us. It's been a blast. Enjoyed it as always.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, and God bless you.
See you on the next one. God bless.